The Joe Rogan Experience.
There was going to be a drug shipment coming in, and my crew was going to be delivering it to another crew, and we needed protection. And we did it in Brockton, and several outlaws hopped in on it. The issue was this, at least one of the big issues. Pretty much that case, I had a great time. Yes, it's violent, and my mentality was changing. There is a podcast it's a series that's going to be coming out with the book, and they actually interview one of the task force officers who was over me on that case on the outlaws. And I remember him calling me. He's like, "Hey, what can I say?" I said, "Tell him the truth." I said, I want to know what you were thinking. I know what I was thinking." And it was really, really surreal to hear him talking about he could see my personality changing. He could see, and like the FBI office might be saying, we want him to patch. And he was over here fighting, going, hell no, we're getting everything we need now. If he patches, then they can order him to do shit. And it was just really cool to hear that. But essentially for the case, it was me, an FBI case agent, and 2 task force officers. We had Detective Joe Cummins from Brockton PD, Sergeant Higginbottom from the Massachusetts State Troopers, and then an agent with the FBI. And that was it. I mean, they would add some here and there, but for 2 years, that was it. It was us. So now we get to this point to where we're like, man, let's do this drug protection. And the assistant United States attorney was like, hey, if you're going to be at the clubhouse, or do they talk about this at the clubhouse? And we're like, yeah. And he goes, well, that would be awesome if we could get that recorded, because it helps, right, to show what they're planning on doing. So the night before the deal's supposed to happen, they don't know it, but we've got 40 kilos of real cocaine and 1,000 pounds of weed, real. So you can imagine SWAT teams are involved, because can you imagine if the FBI lost 40 kilos of cocaine and Brockton and Taunton's are all wide awake for the next week, or there's ODs, because that's a liability. Did you say you had 40 kilos? There's only 39 here. I don't know. No, I'm just messing with you. But, so they say, hey, Joe Dogs calls me. It's night at church. He says, hey, I need you to come to the clubhouse. I'm like, all right, cool. And, of course, I'm thinking, I'm type A. I'm Scott Payne. I got this. Let's go do this, man. These are my boys. I've been doing this a year and a half. And I went into the clubhouse, and what I couldn't see, and I won't say where the recording devices were at because that's tradecraft, but let's just say I had a video and recording device hidden somewhere in my clothing. I had a completely audio recording device somewhere else on me, and I had a transmitter, batteries, so the team could listen in. And I went into the clubhouse like normal, but what you can't see, if you go back and you watch the video, is if I'm facing this way and I'm shooting the shit with you and this is the bar, and you're laughing at my jokes like always, when I would turn my head to look this way, it's still filming. And I didn't see it because I turned my head. They go stone face. Oh. And I missed it. I didn't see it. I do know that when I got to the clubhouse, I knock on the door. I'm knocking on the door. I'm like, what the Joe Dogs props me. He goes, hey, we're not ready yet. And I'll go, why the hell did you tell me to come? I was being smart. I'm like, what's the deal? Why would you say come if you're not ready? I didn't pick anything up. So I go in, and for the listeners that may not know, at least in this clubhouse, if you're not a patch member, which I wasn't, they offered it several times. They wanted me to patch. But I'm with what I said for the task force officer. I said the same thing. I'm like, look, if I'm a probate and they say, get your shit text, we're going to go jack this dude, I kind of got to go. I mean, if I don't do it, I'm either getting kicked out or beat down or whatever.
Right.
But being a high-ranking member of an international theft ring that they're making money off of, it's a little different. We were getting everything we wanted. So I go in the clubhouse. I missed that. I also missed that in the back, one of them, Chocolate Scott, it looks like he's dancing to the song that's playing, but he's warming up, and I missed that. And then my second closest contact, Clothesline, says, hey, Tex, you got a minute? And I said, yeah. And we walk. I'd been in that clubhouse, I don't know how many times, Joe, but there's one door I'd never been in, and that's the door we went in. And it was a very tight stairwell into, you can say a basement, but that's being very, I'm stretching it. Because I could probably touch the wall on both sides and I couldn't stand up straight. So they bring me down in there. They've brandished their weapons. One of them walks in behind me. He's on the steps. So they got their pistols. And my friend says, hey, there's a lot of shit going on. It's my job to take care of my brothers. I need you to write down your full name, your address, your phone number, all kinds of stuff. and I need you to take off all your clothes. I need to check you for a wire.
Whoa.
Here's the problem. Had I not been wired, embarrassing, yes, naked with a bunch of men around you in a cold basement, yeah, that would have been bad, but it would have been no threat. But I was wired to the hilt. And so you think, man, do you fight? Do you try to get out? Well, there's already 2 or 3 there. I'm probably going to do some Tommy boy shit and knock myself out on the joist as soon as I start trying to fight. And then upstairs, there's 10 more outlaws. And that door, what I was getting to earlier, I didn't say, if you're not a patch member, you can't touch the door. That door has more than one deadbolt on it. They had welded metal hooks to the frame and put one of those like shipyard metal bars across. So from a breacher's standpoint, it's a fortified door. It might be easier to breach the wall next to it. So we're down there in the basement. And when I go to write my name down, I forgot my middle name. And that's because I was having an oh crap moment. I had an adrenaline dump. Same thing as cops in shootouts, military in shootouts, somebody in a car wreck, first time, everything. When you're having that adrenaline dump, everything slows down. You get auditory exclusion. So everything you're hearing sounds like you're underwater. It's going whoosh, whoosh. It's slow, like you're talking to me like this. Time dilation. Your eyes are clicking. You look and everything's in frames. Everything's slowing down. Your hamstrings get really rubbery. You feel your heart beating. You feel everything pulsing. And what seems like 10, 15 minutes is probably 30 seconds. And that happens. That's an adrenaline dump. So that was happening. And I forgot my middle name. And I'm going, Scott Calloway, Scott Calloway, Scott Calloway. I start going through this damn Rolodex in my head, and I'm going, Scott Calloway, Scott Calloway. And I'm going, Scott Joseph. I go, no, damn it. That was my middle name for another alias, you know. And I don't realize that I do a distraction technique or something to try to get more intelligence. I would have never known I said it, would have never agreed I said it had I not seen it in the recording. But I turn and I go, and what else do you need? And by the way, you've got a bass line of me now, my voice. It did not sound like this on that recording. My throat was tight. The octaves, it was very higher than normal. And I'm like not even enunciating that well. I'm like, and what else do you need? And they're like, what? I go, my name and what else? Well, now I hear them scream up and they go, what else do you need for that website? So now I know, they're going to Google me. Back then there was who'sarat.com, things like that. So I'm gathering that evidence or intelligence. And then I remember my middle name was, my initials were SAC because I'm an idiot and I thought it was funny because SAC is the head of an FBI division and I knew I was never going to be one. So, so I made my initials SAC. So I remember my name's Scott Andrew Calloway. And then I write that down. Well, now I take off all my clothes. I take off my outer clothing, all my shirts. I take my boots off, and I basically pull my underwear and jeans down around my ankles. So pretty much naked from ankles. I'm definitely naked from ankles up. And he starts searching me. And I'm having an oh shit moment. And he's trying to talk to me, and like we had known each other for a year and a half. So I'm not saying it out loud, but if you saw what my face was saying, what my face is saying and asking is, tell me I'm okay. Is this okay? Well, clothesline, because we were tight, hits me back with a face look that's like everything's all right. This is just procedure. However, he didn't know that I'm an undercover agent and I'm wired. So that adds a whole other issue. So he searches me. I think we're done. He even tells me, he says, trust me. If somebody accused me of being a Fed, I'd probably smash them in the fucking mouth. And I said, those are his words. And I immediately said, well, I'm not happy. I'll tell you what I did do. I did look to make sure there was no plastic on the floor. And I've had people ask me, what does that mean? And I go, well, listen, if you're in the criminal underbelly of society and there's plastic on the floor and they're telling you to walk on it.
They're going to cut you open.
Yeah. It's to clean up the blood. Yeah. I didn't see that. I saw a rope. I saw pistols. And I knew I didn't have a chance in hell of getting out of there in one piece. So he finishes, and he's saying something. He goes, wouldn't you be suspect if somebody comes to your town and starts doing all this shit with you? I said, yeah, if you came to me. I didn't come to you guys. Y'all called me over. Nobody has to do this shit. I'm like, what do we, nobody has to do anything, right? And I think we're done. So I pull my pants back up, and I think we're done. And he grabs a piece of clothing of mine, and he starts kneading it and going through it. Now, this is 2005 to 2007-ish, So technology today is way better than it was then, just like technology is. But let's just say this. Had he done this down my entire piece of clothing, he would have felt something. And he says, as a joke, when he starts, he goes, hey, I'm not going to find anything in here I don't want to, like some naked pictures of my old lady. And he laughs, and his laugh is like, and my laugh is like, you know. And then I'm watching him go down this piece of clothing, and he's doing this, and he's kneading it. And you can hear, again, I don't know how I do it, but on the recording, you can hear me go, an audible sigh, because I'm like watching it, and I'm going, what am I going to do? So here's how it ends. He doesn't find it.
Wow.
Almost. I mean, like, very, very close. And by the way, that first adrenaline dump, I've come back up, and now I've got another adrenaline dump. And now I've come in, I'm like, son of a, it's peaks and valleys. And everybody that I've taught this to or spoke about it to always ask, they're like, man, what would you have said? And I'll tell you, I had two responses. Because I'm a jovial idiot, my first response, if he would have said, what is this? I would have probably said, I don't know, some naked pictures of your old lady to try to buy myself some time, maybe make him quit searching. The only other thing I had, Joe, is, and I remember it like it was yesterday, I would have said, the gig is up. I'm an undercover FBI agent, and I can walk out of here and we can see each other in court, or all hell's going to break loose. Here's the issue, as I get a swig. That would have been a bluff on my part, because as far as I knew, every time I was in that clubhouse, my cover team could never hear me. For whatever reasons, because somebody's going to say it's tradecraft. But again, this is 2005 to 2008, but they could never really hear me in that clubhouse. And I make it out. I end up going out with Scott Town and Joe Dogs that night. But what happens is I am legitimately pissed off, because now my adrenaline's coming back down, and I'm taking it personal. I shouldn't. I'm undercover as an FBI agent. I'm not really Scott Calloway. I mean, I'm kind of Scott.
But you're so deep in the role.
Well, and it's really me, kind of. I mean, that's the whole thing. I never was far off of who I really am in life.
Right.
A pedophile? Yeah. You hire me to kill somebody? No, I'm not going to ingratiate with you. I'm a stone cold killer. But I'm hanging with you for 2 years or a year and a half or whatever. Yeah, the jokes are kind of the same.
Right.
So I'm pissed. And at one point, I'm telling Joe Dogs, I'm like, you know what, man? F all you sons. I said, y'all show up tomorrow? I said, I'm stripping all y'all in the damn parking lot. You know, I was just, and they were nice. They let me vent my stuff. Well, that night, when I went to turn in my equipment at an undisclosed location, probably 3, 4, or 5 in the morning, to the case team, what I found out was this. The shift started with Sergeant Higginbottom. Everybody called him Higgy, and Joe, the detective. These guys are awesome, phenomenal law enforcement officers. Although I think their love language is yelling. Maybe that's my southern thing mixing with the northeast thing. But they told me, they said, Scott, we heard you in there. And I'm like, what? When I had that first interaction with Joe Dogs, they are very street smart. They're very good investigators, and they have been working this group forever. Something that happened in that first interaction made their spidey senses, or the Holy Spirit, if you're a believer, say something's not right. They had pulled close enough. They heard everything. They put on their vest. They suited up. And because they'd been in that clubhouse before and knew that door system, their plan was to drive the van into the cinder block wall next to the door.
Oh, my God.
Just to smash that, you know. Sometimes I'm teaching this. I'll joke about it and say it probably would have killed me because I was in the basement, you know. But reverse, back up. You're so damn heavy. But at that moment, I was scared to death, right? So they tell me what happened was they pulled close enough. They heard everything. They're suiting up. They have radioed now, because it's kind of the beginning of the shift. They've radioed now back to Boston. Everybody that's working that night is now blue lights and siren all the way down to hauling ass to Taunton, Massachusetts. So I say this in a jovial way, but the case agent was actually a good friend of mine. We went through the FBI Academy together. And that night, again, I'm still shell-shocked. He says, man, when I was coming down the highway with my blue lights and sirens on, I felt like I was in there with you. And I looked at him and I said, you weren't. I I said, because I was looking for any friendly face I could find in that damn hole.